Very cool.
That was so good. Thank you.
Where's the steel tongue drum? What's up with that?
Yeah, we don't have one of those.
Yeah. I love all the moods that you created in this piece, and just going from section to section and feeling it develop and having, you know, moments of really, really high intensity, and then you kind of let the bottom drop out, and you know, the rhythmic textures that develop, like 34. That's one of my favorite moments in the piece, when it is just like everything kind of drops out, vibes come in, and you start weaving this kind of real exotic sounding thing. So I thought you did a nice job creating a lot of different characters throughout the work.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, super idiomatic writing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
lays really well in the hands. Yeah, I really liked the part. I liked how you kind of interject odd meters to kind of like snap or wake up the audience a little bit. Like the 11/16 is kind of nice. It's a shock that people won't really like expect. So I really appreciated that. One of my favorite moments in this piece is 14 actually. So you have like a climactic moment, and then you drop everything out, and you have just a one clear voice. And I also like the beginning, Stort's line, Marimba 2 part. It's very like Kiko Abe-esque, like very characteristic of some repertoire that's very like noticeable for a lot of marimba players in our field. So
The Accelerando.
yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. And I was curious. I really enjoyed that you corrected or tried a different approach. Because the first draft, I remember looking at it and being like, what does he want here? And I see the rhythm's getting tighter, but I was trying to count it out rhythmically and you know, make sure it lines up to the met. But yeah, I like this way. It's clear. It starts on beat 3, do an Accelerando for 2 beats, and then you're there. So, and then you know, you can kind of also shape that. You can either let that grow, which most often, because it's getting more activity rhythmically, it's going to get a little bit louder, or you could diminuendo it if that's what you wanted. Kind of go either way. But yeah, it sits well in the hands. I love kind of the repeated material, and then like something changes, you know, in the second time of a repeat. And then yeah, I like the 7/8 section. It was just fun to play that. I enjoyed playing that. So there was one thing I was having trouble with. It was in, let's say, the 11/16, notating the duple. Right, so like 11/16, I'm gonna think of it in groupings of 3 and 2. However, we want to pulse that, and so this way it's 3, 3, 3, 2. But then seeing the duple over it, it just visually kind of took me a second to kind of figure that out. And I was just wondering if there's like another way to show that, or maybe a better example to kind of show my purpose is measure 13. So there we also have that duple rhythm over the 3/8.
Which
Yeah.
I think we had talked a little bit about this, Michael, in the masterclass that I had where I went through your guys' scores. So we actually had some interesting differences and opinions in how you should do this, and that's fine, right? It's like everyone has their own preferences. So like in that one, in the 3/8, I think, did we agree we'd rather see it as a 4-tuplet over the whole bar?
Yeah, so here's the thing. This might be different than what they think, but I personally like the dotted 16 note personally more because it's more descriptive. So I can see that rhythm and I know all the perfect syncopations. Anytime you're using a ratio and you are missing the second half of the ratio, then it's not very clear on a first read, personally, right? You can see that it's 2, and obviously you would assume that it's not 2 and 2, right? So it'd be 2 against 3. But personally, like, that's where we had the discrepancy is, like, for me, I would more rather see the dotted 16th now. But then we came on to the conclusion that the 2 looks nice on the 11/16, but we'd personally like to see it grouped to the 4 on 13, just because it's a little clearer, I guess.
Okay.
Or seeing the full ratio, 2/2:3,
Yeah.
just to kind of like, oh, okay, in the space of 3/16 notes, he wants 2, you know.
But then if you go to measure 61 in my part, it doesn't work there to have the duple because duple is the natural division in 4/4.
So you're just playing eighth notes there.
Right, so you're just playing eighth notes.
Right.
Right, so having that, the tuplet, right, only works when that's no longer the natural division. Maybe that's why it doesn't work so nice in the 11/16, because there's no natural division, right? It's whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
Where is the 11/16? I don't. Is that a different version of the
Measure
score?
8.
Yeah, it's further up, Dan.
Oh, there. Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, I guess that probably is maybe the best way to notate that one. 3, 3, 3, 2.
Yeah, we're just being princesses, I
Yeah.
guess. So
Maybe seeing
ignore
2,
everything we're
3,
saying.
3.
I'm just kidding. But the main thing was that we found in Mike's part, using the 2 and 4/4 is very confusing. So putting
Right.
like dotted eighth and grouping
Yeah,
it
the
to
dotted eighth
dotted
would be
half
better
note
there, right.
would be better there. Yeah. I found a couple moments in there in my part as well. Particularly the 47 for 8 for 9 50, 52 was 7/8. Yeah, so there's my part, the shaker part is kind of, I can't really tell what you're grouping each part in. So I kind of just assumed and rewrote everything. If you look in my part, I like marked it up and
Right.
kind of wrote the grouping. So I assumed you wanted quarter, quarter, dotted eighth, right? That was just confusing on the first read, so I had to like re-notate it to be like, oh, what is that? So just like trying to make the clear groupings even in odd meter, and particularly with the shaker might help. Maybe you're trying to show like length of the note. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's probably just like I just need to be more clear about what I was going for there with like the division and stuff like that. It was probably just a mistake on my end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You guys would want to see above the meter, whatever it is, 3 + 4.
It helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps just solidify so we don't go, hey, what do you have here? You know.
Yeah, and it might just depend on how the parts are written. You know, who's got the accent? Is it a unified feel, or maybe it's hocketed? You know, so it just depends.
But really, really cool piece.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really glad you guys enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
My only comment for you, Mikey, I think it's awesome. It's really, really well written. The final section here, the repeat felt
Long.
too long to
Yeah.
me. Like, if you're gonna repeat the material, you could at least have it change texturally, like maybe instruments drop out. Kind of the opposite of what you did earlier, but it's just that felt really long compared to the other sections to me.
And then one other thing I was wondering about was the instrumentation in that last section. You asked for steel drum.
Yeah.
But there was a picture in the Dropbox of like a hang drum, which like sits in your lap and you play it with your hands.
Yeah, I've always been.
They're cool. They create a really cool sound. Yeah. Hold that up again. Yeah, exactly. So that's not a steel drum, right?
I've always been told they're called steel tongue drums because of the tongues
Yeah.
that they use.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Make sure you put the word tongue in there.
Yeah, because with
Oh,
steel
my
drum,
bad.
I think like pan,
like
like
the-
steel pan.
Yeah.
Right.
I meant steel tongue drum. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in the instance that we don't have a steel tongue drum, we have to just kind of find a substitute, and we decided to put that on vibes.
Yeah, no worries. I was wondering what you guys were gonna do for that. 'Cause I was like, I wonder if they do have one. But
You were supposed to mail us the drum. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Sounded
welcome.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a groovy one.
Yeah, I love the kind of the Latin feel to it the whole time. Yeah, and sorry, I took a couple of liberties in that section at C and added some rolls because it just felt right.
Cool.
So, just something to think of in there about kind of creating a different texture as you go from section to section. Like, it felt very much in that style to do that.
Cool. Thank you.
We had a lot of difficulty putting together section D, and we were curious, very curious to know where kind of any phrases or arrival points or things like that were, because we were just constantly trying to key into each other and find somewhere where we all lined up, and it was difficult.
Yeah, I actually kind of wanted to have a off tempo or a off rhythmic feel to it.
Okay.
And it actually was changed before, but when I went back, I couldn't get it back. It messed up the rest of the song, so I had to keep it this way. So, but yeah, I kind of wanted it off, a syncopated off beat type of, let the center kind of go outside a little bit and then come back in type thing.
So I think one thing that made it hard for us, and I get what you're going for now, is that just like in my part, there was absolutely no phrase markings or no dynamic variation or anything. So it was just hard, I think, for each of us individually to find where we were supposed to be leading and figure out our role in the ensemble at each given point. Am I more supportive here? Am I kind of color texture on top, or just rhythmic filler, or so adding some of those phrase markings or other articulations might help your idea to come across even better, right, than what it is just now.
Yeah, and on top, besides like the musical approach and kind of understanding your role and how your part fits in, more from a notation aspect to just be able to read it clearly. I had some issues with the consistent eighth note and then eighth rest, whereas on this marimba, I understand you maybe wanted a shorter sound, but we really don't have that unless we're kind of like hand dampening. So like in measure 93, and this is I think marimba 1, I think I'm marimba 1, I guess. I have D flat and then a D natural. Oh, I'm marimba 3, yeah, I'm on the bottom. So like right there, like on beat 2, like I'd like to see that as a quarter note. And then that way I can hit the and a 3 clearer instead of trying to read 2 eighth note rests, And then the other part, another instance is like measure 112. At the bottom I have an A, an E, and then an A. And so I see like the quarter note on A, and then an eighth note for the E, and then an eighth rest, and then the quarter note. And because this is so rhythmically, like you said, I wanted it kind of to feel loopy and shifty and have everybody, off of each other. I'm like, oh, it's an eighth note rest. I'm gonna see it as like a pickup, like on the upbeat. So right there, I'd rather see a quarter note on E. So I could just be like 1, 2, 3.
Got it.
And read that correctly.
Got
it. Yeah, it got me. It was you had to really really concentrate and count and kind of not listen to the other players for guide points. I did find one at measure 113. It seems like everybody's out. Yeah, at least for a little bit. Yeah, on the downbeat because we're tied over from the note before. But yeah, cool feels. But yeah, just some of those like little notation things.
Okay.
Hey, Glenn, this is Mario here. I have an updated version of your score in which a lot of these problems are actually addressed. So I wonder if I can just pop that version into the chat here. But yeah, I think a lot of
Awesome.
that is taken.
Maybe
You still have it then. Okay, cool.
maybe those didn't get extracted, like from the parts from that score didn't get extracted.
It's possible. I'll resend this email to you here, Glenn, just in case.
Okay.
Is that Mario? Did he also fix accidental issues like why is that a G flat?
Like D flats as C sharps. Yeah, we did. Yeah, I did some of that too.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah.
I'll double check.
If you have a key signature Glen that has an F sharp in it, it's weird to have a
No,
G
it's okay.
flat.
Like measure 124, still got 2/8 notes. Measure 124.
Oh yeah.
I'm like looking, and we have 2/8 note rest instead of a quarter rest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so
so
I may see that and be like, oh, okay, one and just I basically had to cross it out and write a quarter note rest. So I made sure I came in on B2 on the next one. 1, 2, 3. Probably that G could be a quarter, and then 4 and. Just makes it visually clearer.
Major instead of G minor.
Yeah, he
Oh.
Mario attached
It's the
a
same.
Right.
more updated version.
Cool.
I had one thing at in the beginning. It seems like A and E are the same material. A we're in G minor, but then at E we're still in G major. So there's just a bunch of accidentals that I was having to read.
Okay.
So that would just be something that's a little easier to read if we changed the key signature back
To
here.
the original.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it just muddied the parts up, but just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, but great melody. It reminded me like anime music, kind of anime soundtrack, kind of.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
It's the Wii waiting room music.
yeah. I liked it though. It was pretty easy to make music with those ideas that you put in A all the way through like D was like money. Like all those melodies were super easy to phrase. They're pretty natural.
Fun to
There
play.
wasn't a lot of discussion when we put the music together, which is a good thing. It means like we can hear it, we can identify the parts. Like I always say, like the music is making music, so it makes it a little easier for us.
One thing that was interesting for me every time, and it always caught me second guessing, is the Marimba 1 first entrance at measure 9 plays exactly the same pitch as the vibraphone. And so it wasn't clear that, oh, here's the new voice entering, right, the marimba, because it was exactly the same pitch as the vibe who just had his turn. And then when he played that same pitch, it seemed to diminish the entrance of the marimba. I'm being a little selfish. Where Sean was trying to step on my foot.
Yep.
So just something to think about that, percussion instruments, we get a lot of attack, but when they're in the same ranges, right, then it can get muddy. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe you just get rid of that line in the vibes, or that for that measure, Glenn.
Yeah,
Or push it
yeah,
up.
just put them somewhere else.
Okay.
So, cool.
Awesome. I think the garden, isn't it?
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
clapping.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank
Of
you.
course.
It sounds like you're laying in a garden.
I love how peaceful it is.
And just, it's, yeah, peaceful, it's serene, especially in these crazy moments right now. It's nice to have a breath of fresh air. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed playing this one.
I love the interplay from the crotales between the marimba at the beginning and then the vibes at the end, but it's the same motive. That was neat how you kind of changed that up. I did have in measure 31 in the auxiliary part. It looks like I have a cue that didn't get the smaller note heads there.
Oh, shoot.
Yes.
So you played it.
So I figured it out, but yeah, you want to watch that one, and then
Oh, are you saying that is a cue?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it exactly matches the marimba part there, and also those notes don't exist on crotales, so I could get the C. In G, in the accessory part, I think some of that could have been simplified. Same thing that we've been saying, just with note durations, right? Make it like measure 65, 6, 7. Measure 67 could be 4/16 and then 2/8, right?
Mm.
Da 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 dum dum. Yeah, there's no need for the kind of extraneous rests in there. Also at G, I tried doing it with my hands, but you had me going back to the dead strokes on the crotales, so I would have had to grab mallets. So by the time I get to 78, I didn't have time to pick up mallets there, so I just played all of G with the mallets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like the dead stroke on crotales. I've never done that before, and that was kind of a neat texture. And
Cool sound.
yeah.
I had just like a beaming like question in measure 46 in the vibraphone part. Yeah, right there on the back half of the bar. It's just all under one beam. It just took me a second to kind of, oh, okay, it's 3 and you know. So I just thought maybe it may look cleaner visually because we see those rhythmic cells more often, 8th to 16th, da-da, or, 16th note rest, 16th, 8th, We're just visually going to see that and know exactly what it is, whereas that one just took me a second to kind of,
Okay.
figure it out.
Yeah, I think always trying to beam to natural note divisions of the beat really, really helps.
I mean, if you wanted to feel it like over 2 beats, just throw a phrase line over it, and we can go da-ki-da-ki-da, and kind of try to give it more shape over 2 beats.
Mm-hmm.
I had some. I love the piece, by the way. There's a lot of cool colors that you create just throughout. I had a few of the notation things that you're talking about too. Like if you look at the third measure of C, they're all 8th notes, but it took me a second to kind of read that. Right. So just things like that. Or if you look at measure 23 or 24 in that part, just all those 16th note rests in between. You could just write like beat 1 of 23, dotted 8th note, then 8th, 8th. Same thing, beat 4, you could 4E and, just use an 8th note there.
Yeah.
There's like unnecessary notation, that's all.
What about in like 15? Would you rather beam all of that together?
Yeah, like 15 beats
That.
3, like you could put the beams on top and put it together, just instead of the 16th rest in between.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say that you got a lot of music with very little, right? And that it was nice that there was just these little ideas kind of going on all over the place, and you didn't try to overdo it, but that was really, really nice and open and airy. And
Bringing material back to hear again, it allows the listener to latch on and be like, I recognize this, I know this. So that's a great compositional technique.
Yeah, I wonder and I know that we gave you some instrument parameters and you had to work with what you had. I'm not sure in the long run if conga would be the best. You know, I don't know. There may be something else to experiment with because it's a little dry, especially with the mallets. So
I think, you
like
know,
an udu drum or
well,
something.
if you're looking for something kind of low, but it'd be cool to have a sizzle cymbal in there every once in a while.
Oh, okay, yeah.
To fill up the space. Yeah, I mean, it kind of just, it's a little too thin, I think, G at the end.
Wind gong.
Like, one of the coolest parts in this piece, I think, is 70, and it only happens for, like, 2 bars, but you have, like, short little interjections where you're just passing, it's like pointillistic, where you're just passing little notes around the ensemble. I wish you did a little bit more of that to the end, and just filled out the space. I think, like, 77, 78 just sounds really dead because the conga thing.
Right.
Wind chimes.
Oh, that could work, too. Patio chimes.
Patio chimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we have time, do you guys have a sizzle cymbal there?
I think I have a sizzle, yeah.
Could you just show her what that would sound like really quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Because I think that's a really good idea. Or you could have both too, you know? Doesn't have to just be one box percussion thing.
There is one other thing. On some of our parts, we don't have your name or the title of the piece.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know if I have like an older part. I have no clue. But
She's just really humble.
I mean,
Yeah.
across the board, some of the other pieces, like no tempo marking.
yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, I guess I have to listen to the audio to figure out the tempo. And then one other thing, this is, I guess, a formatting issue. In measure 51, this is 3 before F.
Measure 51.
Yeah, if we can scroll onto that.
This,
I mean, I have a rest. It's just not in the center of the bar.
okay.
And I'm just curious, one, how Sibelius does that. You know, sometimes it puts out measures without a note or without a rest, and it's like, you're not supposed to be able to do that. So, but yeah, you know, so like I said, you know, I guess the end game of the composer is to kind of go through the parts and just double check them and make sure all their articulations are there, the fermatas, the ritardandos, that you may throw in the score at the top, and it may be just associated with that player instead of across the entire score. So, and then just kind of visually, yeah, finding beaming things and you know, rest, stuff like that.
Yeah, so we use this little, like a sizzle strip. It's just some metal beads. And we'll just hang it on top of the cymbal so it rests on the profile of the cymbal, and it'll continuously vibrate because the cymbal moving body keeps going after you strike it. So this could be just something that, like, when that first idea comes back in the second half of the piece, you just add this on top, and it's like, oh.
We should try it out.
Yeah, so. Can get that. A little sizzle effect afterwards. So. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
That was amazing. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, it was fantastic. I was really nervous, but it turned out really well.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
Thank you.
It's very, very Reich-esque in the beginning, but then it kind of becomes its own thing. And then I love how actually you brought the Reich stuff back, but the listener doesn't really know until it's too late and it's like all fully developed. It was super cool. Like you just hear the motives, but you don't get it that, oh, that's the beginning again. So really nice job.
Yeah, I was going to comment actually because you have it up already right there, like measure 11 and 12. You see that we have 4 times repeat, 3 times repeat. I don't think that got into everybody's parts because it was in my part as marimba 1. And so all of a sudden I'm playing things 4 times in a row. And we're not ending up in the same spot. We listened back to the audio.
Yeah.
And so basically we just said, okay, we're just going to play everything 2 times. Like if it's a repeat, play it twice, move on. And so that was just a consideration we made, you know. So just it needs to get into all the parts.
Did you
yeah.
did you clean each
I
part?
didn't even realize that.
So that's probably why you were like, hey, they're moving on to the next section too quick.
Yeah. Anytime you do like text for a specific part, make sure it's just on the individual part because sometimes it looks great on the score, but it doesn't get transferred to all the parts. If you wanted to edit that like in full score, like if you're on Sibelius or something, you'd have to copy paste for each individual voice. So that's all.
There is a way you can do it though. It depends on the certain texts are copied automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
We'll work on it together.
Because we could definitely play those motives 4 times or 3 times. Yeah.
In the marimba 3 part, I've got a redundant 4/4 at measure 38. So I don't know if that's in the score. Does everybody have that, or just I was the lucky one?
I don't have that.
You said
Where is it?
38?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that
It's
is
in the score.
probably a mistake from when
I do have that,
Oh,
yeah.
I have
Probably
that
had
too.
another time signature there.
Then changed it.
Okay.
In measure 21A, this is just a visual thing, seeing the 8th note and then the 16th note rest. I think the measure before, we see a dotted 8th and a 16th note, so I think I'd like to see that as well for that beat too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that like we see it in one
Okay.
measure, then I just see it again the next measure. In the top marimba. And then,
go ahead.
oh no, I just had one note issue. This is in measure 27. So the marimba, on beat 2, it's only a single note, and that's fine, but it actually worked easier for me to add in the 5th underneath it. So my hand keeps that E and B, and then I just do a double fifth, fifth. It was just kind of hard to kind of only hit one note and then try to get the fifth back in, you know? So, I don't know, that was just a consideration that I made that I just wanted to kind of let you know. It's like, it sat well easier for me to add more notes.
Okay, all right.
I like all the edits you made. I was actually reading your old version, and I was like, man, some of these like two-handed stuff is going to be kind of difficult. But I love all the edits you made, and they fit really, really well in the hands, at least on my part. So, yeah, thank you for those edits.
That's what I was going for. I was really worried because Mike went through it and said, this is going to be really hard with trying to get, these two hands going at the same time. So I went through and kind of spread it out between the three parts to make it a little bit easier. So hopefully that...
Yeah, the way you did it's great, and it actually opens up a lot of opportunity if we wanted to like make it faster or anything, because you can really push the bounds now on that, which is cool.
Yeah, I wanted to compliment your writing at B, where you started to kind of disintegrate everything. It was really cool how you overlaid all the rhythms, and then one person would change and slow down, and then the next one does it, but...
The fivelet.
Yeah, it was just really, really great. That just all fell apart, and then you're just left with that single note right after all of that. It was really cool.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest moments in here is measure 99. For some reason, 99 just like, it feels great. We were rehearsing it, and I just started stomping my feet to the border. I was like, this needs like 2 bars of bass drum, It's just like, it feels so good, that change right there. So there's a lot of just like great moments where it peaks at the right time, and the development's just really, really good there, all the way to the end.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then it just dies down like before the last measure.
Yeah, the 2/4 grand pause. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was nice. Really great moments.
Sweet.
Maybe since we have a few minutes here, when Sam, you still on this call? He's listening in. But he had a crazy idea, which was to potentially have a version that was, what was it, 3 players and 1 marimba? Is that what his idea was?
Yeah, 3 players and 1 marimba.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
I would love that.
There's pieces written for that. 4 players on a marimba, 3 players on a marimba.
Yeah, so the reason why that sounds like Mike just said he'd love that, that's great because that reduces our gear. Like, it would just be like, oh, 1 marimba, dope, here's this piece. Like, just pull it out. And what's awesome about it is you don't have to have a bunch of instruments. And what's also really nice about those types of layouts is that the audience gets super involved just because they're like, wow, it's like such a novel thing. They're like, 3 people, 1 instrument, crazy. At least in my experience, they're just like, I really like the one where like all you guys were like right there. It's a silly thing, but it actually, people
visual.
love that.
Yeah, the visual.
Yeah.
I think, some pieces will have the players not just behind the marimba, but on the other side of the marimba, so on the side of the accidentals, and one player has to kind of play it that way, which is cool. And then also, there's a number of other sounds that you can get on the marimba besides just hitting the bars. You can lightly play on the resonators, on the edge of the frame, on the edges of the bars. So some of these kind of fun pieces where there's 3 or 4 players on one instrument, they kind of utilize a lot of different textures and timbres.
I'm just going to reiterate for the last time what I've already said several times, but let's go to B. And this would have been an excellent spot where you could have given me some slurs and some phrase directions to like really help feel the elongation of time right here.
Are you
Right.
You're marimba 3?
Yeah, marimba 3. See, and it just looks very, very straight, and they're just doing this beat-a-da-da, beat-a-da-da, beat-a-da-da. And even there with them, you could connect them over a couple of bars if you want, or, just something in there, I think, in my part, to really help give it the direction. And I'm doing it because I feel it, right? But I've just noticed it in a lot of the scores. I think you would never see a wind part, right, that looked like what you handed me. A wind part would be all marked up with phrases and articulations and staccatos and all this stuff, right? And so So I think that, and that's one of those musical concepts that can translate well to percussion as well, especially keyboard percussion, is length of phrase and direction and, you know, slurring, and we can do all of that. So I think that that really helps in our parts.
Okay, cool.
I don't think we answered your question, but I do think that this could be put in a 3-player format. I think if
Couple
you...
of range
Okay.
shifts.
There's some range issues that you might want to flesh out, and I think the hardest part here is all the octave shifts you have in like the little 16-note runs, dee da 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 be da da da. Those probably couldn't happen with the 3 players.
Well, we just switched roles there, like
Right.
player one.
One
Exactly,
player would play
yeah.
1 minute, pass it down.
Or like
How I
bars like
originally
go for it.
Oh, sorry. How I originally wrote it was kind of like split up almost by range. So there was one player that was more heavily in the upper register, one more heavily in the mid, and one most definitely just in the low register. And the reason why I had to change it to how it was now with kind of like the shifting range was because I was trying to keep the harmonies similar when I was splitting up the parts. So that's why it got kind of shifted around. So if I brought it back to where it was before, where each player had their own specific range, it would probably work a little bit better.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it would get played more if she did it on one marimba?
I think it works in the one marimba format. Like, it's that kind of piece, and it could work really well in that. And since that's the case, then yes.
I think it's definitely more accessible. Like if you're thinking about just getting more play out of it, it's a lot. You'll find a lot more people that have one instrument versus 3.
You know, one thing.
Or programs like band programs that only have one marimba.
Right.
It does need a 5-octave though.
So they're one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
wondering
if you really want to get it played, you want to get it down into that 4 1/3 range to where an low A2 is the lowest note.
Kind of have an adjustment.
Okay.
Like a lot of people will be like, if you don't have a 5-octave, this is what you do.
Which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because your bass pitch through the entire middle development section is a G.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I mean, that being said, like all universities are going to have a 5-octave one. So, you know, or just transpose it up a step.
So maybe for the
Yeah, I think
concert that you guys
transposing.
do, that's enough times then if you want to try to make a version.
So one thing to
yeah,
consider about that, right, is that, like Stuart said, it can be a little shticky for the audience when they see it. So if you don't want that and you want it to be a more serious thing, I think it's funny. You could have the exact same material played on 3 instruments by 3 players, and it will be a serious presentation. But all of a sudden, when you put the 3 of us on one instrument, it naturally is going to get some kind of humor to it. And I think the players will interact in a more humorous style naturally in that situation, just because of the mechanics of working so close to other people and trying to work around people. So that might just be something to think about, is how do you actually want the feel of this piece to be?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I would like it to be a little bit of like a lighter, more fun experience.
Yeah.
So doing stuff where one player plays da 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 and then reaches around and to hit notes. I mean, you can get super sticky with it.
Yeah.
And there's like moments like that, right, where you've got
Yeah.
to right,
Bum,
and then you play
beep,
something
bum.
high.
I sensed a little bit of it. I like now that you mention it, I feel like D. I like D because D is such a different character shift. Sounds like a baby, like kind of like pouting, like throwing a tantrum. That's kind of how I interpreted it, because like all the little interjections.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't.
yeah. Wham! Back to it. Yeah,
Boom, do. I'm fine now.
yeah. It's a great piece though. We really liked it.
Cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
that she's not here.
Should we talk about it behind her back?
I guess so.
Yeah, I thought it was nice. I like the overall like theme and development as it keeps going a little bit. I felt like toward the end, it kind of meandered and got a little stagnant. So we're trying to find some direction at the end. There was some cool interplay in the marimba part. I think is really neat at measure 19, and it goes on for quite a while. But the right hand just kind of plays the ostinato while the left hand does this little melody underneath. So that was really cool writing. That was fun to put together. Yeah, I think just kind of like lack of dynamic direction was kind of a big one for me. I had mezzo forte for about 35 bars, and mezzo forte I call the box of blah, like between mezzo forte and mezzo piano. It's just kind of in this middle mush, and there's not really anything happening, so it could be hard to find direction in there.
Yeah, also double forte, I had to tame that down a little bit because of the trio setting in 2 marimbas, so, yeah, maybe even mezzo forte right there, unless she really wants that above the marimbas, right? Because that's dynamically what we're looking at. So, but I think it's definitely more of a supportive role there. So, yeah.
53. Can you pull up 53, Dan?
I have a double bar there, and I'm just curious.
Oh yeah.
Why? Because we're still in B flat. So maybe they
New
played
section.
New section.
That's
Yeah.
confusing though. I mean,
Yeah, I
she
guess.
should have just put rehearsal mark.
Also, it's interesting just thinking about voicing and chord structure and things. So if you're looking at 53, right, you've got the timpani is actually kind of on like the third of the chord, and the marimba is, down to the F, and timpani's on A. So it was interesting just kind of listening back. A timpani is usually a fundamental instrument. It can be. So, that just kind of caught my ear a little bit. That was like, oh, do we match or clash or it just.
It's kind of cool to play, to hear like just the stepwise motion. But yeah, most of the time it's
so
it's hard
maybe
to
in
make
that
it as a third.
instance, like maybe you should have been coming out more than you were, so it sounded more like a melodic idea instead of a harmonic idea.
But I
know.
don't think it was a melodic idea because it's the same rhythm and the same ostinato.
Yeah.
And so I think it is a supportive role, and so maybe we do want to see it
I'm
more,
just doing
more in the
quarter
groove.
notes, so.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it would have been nice if she had passed this around.
Yeah.
Give that to the timpani. No, just joking.
Do it.
It just gets, as you said, stagnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or like I had to do the one-hand ostinato with some other, melody stuff in the left hand. Like the vibe player could have done that as well. And then that would have been neat. That would have given some new timbres there.
We're both on marimba.
Oh, wait, you're on marimba too. Never mind.
Yeah, you tied.
Well, why didn't you have to do that?
I don't know.
Did you want to talk about range or
Talk about the body
like
position.
body position?
Oh, well, yeah, like just the opening chords in marimba one part. I mean, Mike has it too in his part, but the range is pretty far spread out, and it's not so much the range that is the difficulty, but it's also that your right hand is positioned A and B flat. So your elbow has to be really far out
Traditional grip.
while you're moving this way.
Burton.
Yeah, you could use a different grip, but you're still spread pretty far out on the instrument. I don't know what the fix would be there, but
I will show them. Let's zoom in for a quick sec. Oh, this is it. Here. Join me. Here, Stu, can you hold it?
Yeah.
There we go. Mute that.
Thought I did. Sean, can you mute that?
Okay, there we go. All right, so the issue here is that the A and the B flat are really close on the score, but in order to hit these, I have to get my elbow way kicked out. So she's got us like this basically. So to get a really, really good playing spot, I have to get all the way down here. And then there was one where lower. So it's literally as far as I can reach. So what I was saying with a different grip, if you go into something, you know, like a traditional grip on marimba, say this is much easier, but not everybody plays that grip. And I probably wouldn't want to write my music based on a person's grip, because that's going to limit the number of people that can play. So even that super hard reach is much easier. So just something to think about. I mean, it's really at the extremity of the range that we could reach. Painful. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else with this one? The ending was cool. I like how she ended it.
Yeah, I like that last measure. It's nice.
All right, well, let's all black box ourselves and just say thank you, and can't wait to see this all in person. And
thank you.
Thank you for being flexible during these weird circumstances. And for all
I am.
Thank you, guys.
Person.
Oh,
Awesome.
yeah. Thank you. I can't undo my video right now, so.
Yes, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, you're all
done.
welcome, and thank you for writing. I know, you know, doing percussion stuff has a lot of unique challenges, so, you know, thanks for your time and for writing for us, and we're looking forward to seeing you in fall or spring, and whenever that is, and we'll get these premiered for real in front of a real live audience.
What's that?
What is that?
Yeah.
The thing about percussionists too is like no other instrumentalists are so open to experimentation and new music and everything. So, yeah. So keep writing for percussion.
Yep, please do.
All right. Nice to virtually
All right.
meet everyone.
Thank you guys. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.